Hello, hello. Welcome to a bonus episode of Runners Roundtable brought to you in honor of London Marathon draw date. And it is a big one. I know a lot of people that have entered the lottery and who are waiting to get their results today. And I find that days like today are often really exciting days within the running community, particularly with people who are looking to run one of the world marathon majors. Anytime there is a lottery, you've got London, Berlin, New York City, Chicago. Those big races tend to draw a lot of people into the lottery, and a significantly less percentage of all the applicants are the ones that get accepted into the race. So I wanted to try to do a quick little bonus episode here to talk about charity running. So if you've entered the lottery and you haven't gotten in that way, maybe you're asking yourself, what can I do? How can I run this race? And if you are someone who, like me, last year really wanted to run the London Marathon, the charity route is the way to go when you don't get in via the lottery. And it goes with all different races, even races like the Run Disney events that tend to sell out quickly. There are still charity spots that you can join. So again, trying to hope, or I'm hoping this will be a quick episode giving you all a rundown of what charity running is and some of the things to keep in mind when looking into running a race on behalf of a charity. So I'm going to pull myself back for a minute here and just talk about what is charity running, what is running for a charity. And it's one of two options. It's either you've signed up for a race on your own. So for instance, I'll go back to Run Disney and London as our big examples. With Run Disney, you made it in time, you got an entry into the race. With London, you entered the lottery, but you didn't get in. So in both cases, you can still reach out to charities and try to be a part of a charity team. So to be a charity runner, it's either you've already got entry into the race, but you want to elevate your miles, you want to support a charity, or you're going through the charity to get an entry into the race. Charities usually get a set amount of places for whatever run it is that they're doing. So for instance, you might have one charity that has 100 spots for the race, or you may have another charity that maybe they have 20 spots. Depending on the size of the race will kind of dictate that. So those are the two ways that people usually get in. Either they have entry themselves and want to support a charity, or they want to go through the charity to get entry into the race. The next thing to consider, or one of the biggest things to consider, is picking a charity. And my biggest recommendation is always to go to the race site first and look at who the official charity partners are. Pick a charity that has some kind of meaning for you, because fundraising for a charity, it is work and it is hard work. So if you pick a charity that has some kind of connection to you or something that you're passionate about, it's going to make it a lot easier to fundraise. And it's also going to come across as more genuine when you ask people to support you in your running, support you in the organization that you are fundraising on behalf. Reach out to a few charities because, again, depending on the race, some charities may require you to interview with them first, or some charities they may have a sign up on their website that you fill out, and that's how you join the team. But either way, reach out to a few charities so that you can understand what their expectations are of you and how you can best support them, or how you can be the most successful in your fundraising efforts. Look at the different minimum donation amounts for charities. Usually the races themselves will set like a minimum. But you also have races that organizations may have different minimum amounts that you need to fundraise for them. So for instance, when I was running the London Marathon, or when I was looking into running the London Marathon, there were two options with that. I could either fundraise on behalf of a US based charity, or I could fundraise on behalf of a UK London based charity. The amounts required were very different. US based charities were minimum $10,000 to fundraise, whereas the UK London-based charity, their minimum fundraising amount was £2,300, which was close to $3,000. Now, some charities will have it that if you sign up to be a part of their team before whatever the lottery draw date or the sign-up date, your minimum, like your fundraising goal is less than if you sign up afterwards. So that's something to also take into consideration of when you come on to the fundraising team, might determine what your fundraising goal will be. So for me with London, I went with a London-based, UK-based charity because I was confident in my ability to fundraise the 2,500 pounds, whereas I was not confident in my ability to fundraise $10,000 in order to meet my goal so that I can do the race. So those are things to kind of consider of what are the fundraising goals, what are the minimums that you have to meet in order to participate in the race. Also look into what perks are included in your participation as part of the charity's team. Do you get a t-shirt? Is there coaching that's involved? Is there support via, WhatsApp, Facebook? What kind of community support do you get? Because in that community, you also get a lot of fundraising ideas. So how are they communicating with you? What are they giving you? What is the pre and post race communication? Is there a celebration at the end? Like what's going on? Like what's included in it? And the biggest one is truly just how are they going to support you in meeting your fundraising goal for them? So again, kind of going back, how they'll interview you. If they interview you, take advantage of that to interview them back. Ask them questions like, in the past, have all your participants met their goals? In the past, if someone hasn't met their goal, what happens? That's a big. That's, if I can highlight anything here right now, it's going to be that. Ask what happens if I don't meet my fundraising goal. Some charities give you lots of time to meet your fundraising goal. Some charities will give you beyond race day to meet your goal. Some charities will tell you, 90 days before your race, you need to have fundraised half of your goal. 30 days, 75% of your goal. There are some charities, I've had experience with some charities that if my fundraising goal or my fundraising minimum was not met by race day or the week of the race, I could not race. So that's something that is really, really important. Find out what happens if you don't meet your fundraising goal and how much time do you have to fundraise. All right. So again, going back, some charities, you can just sign up. Some are going to require an interview. And in that interview, they're probably going to ask you, what are your ideas for fundraising? Have you fundraised before? What do you know about the race? What's your running history? Things like that. So come prepared to talk about yourself as a runner, talk about yourself as an athlete, but then also share some ideas for how you plan on fundraising, how you plan on engaging with the charity itself. Some donations do require some charities do require a donation as a show of commitment prior to joining their team. I think I have fundraised for probably close to 10 different organizations. I'm trying to think of how many organizations. I've fundraised for quite a few organizations, and all of them have required some kind of donation. I've had some organizations that it's just a $50 donation, and I've had some organizations that require me to make a donation that is equivalent to the race entry. So for example, there's a charity that I fundraised for the Chicago Marathon, and I had to make a donation of $226 or whatever the Chicago Marathon entry was at the time. Depending on that charity, that amount goes towards your fundraising goal, but it may also be that's just an amount that you donate to the charity as a show of your commitment that goes to the, just to the charity. It doesn't necessarily impact your goal. So for instance, I've had organizations where let's say my fundraising goal is $3,000. So I've had some organizations where that $50 donation gets applied to that. So instead of me starting off with $3,000, I'm starting off with $2,950. Whereas I've had some organizations where my fundraising goal is $3,000. I have to make a donation of $200 and something, but that $200 something is separate. My $3,000 goal minimum is still $3,000. So again, something to kind of consider of, is there a donation that I have to make in order to join the team? And then does that amount get applied to my own personal fundraiser or not? The amount varies. That's a question to ask. That's something for you to figure out. Again, ask about fundraising deadline. Are there milestones along the way that you need to make? There have been some charities require you to give a credit card when you sign up, so that if the amount you have left to raise isn't met by whatever race day, you will automatically get charged. So think about all those things of, okay, if I don't meet my fundraising goal, am I going to be responsible for making the difference? Can I make the difference? And yes, and if you don't meet your fundraising goal, can you still race? The charity that I raced on behalf, or I ran on behalf for London, Rays of Sunshine, one of the things I loved about them is that you had April, May, June, July, you had 3 months after race day to finish fundraising. That to me was huge because, again, fundraising can be a little bit stressful, but to know that I can show up on race day not having met my fundraising goal was really reassuring. And it allowed me to focus on my running, but it also gave me the space to focus on the fundraising without the pressure of, if I don't meet my fundraising goal, I may not be able to race. That's a lot of pressure. I had that happen to me once. And I remember being really worried, really upset, and honestly, almost to tears, because at that point, I think for that particular charity, I was maybe like $300 to $500 shy of my fundraising goal. And I was terrified that I would not be able to run the race that I had trained for, the race that I had put in a lot of effort and energy into fundraising for. I was really worried that I wouldn't. In that particular situation, I was very fortunate to have a fellow fundraising person on the charity team. They had excess amount donated to their campaign, and they were able to redistribute the funds that were donated to their campaign to other athletes on the team to help them meet their goals. So can't stress that part enough of finding out what your fundraising minimum is, what your fundraising goal is, and how meeting it or not meeting it by race day impacts your ability to show up and run on race day. Okay, I talked a little bit about having a fundraising plan. I'm going to go deeper into that. So when I say have a fundraising plan, I mean have ideas for how you plan on fundraising, and then create goals for yourself as you move along. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is to make sure you have plenty of time. The more time you have to fundraise, the better. And why do I say that? Because people are going to be really excited in the beginning. They'll want to support you. They'll donate you, and they'll donate to your fundraiser. And then there's going to be kind of a lull. And you need that lull to get on people's cases. You have to reach out to people often. You have to share with people often what's happening. In my personal experience, I usually get the majority of donations at the beginning when I announce, hey, I am running this race and I am supporting this organization. And near the end, once the race is really close and people have seen the training, have seen everything I've done, those are the two points in time. But it's that in between time where you can put on events, where you are reaching out to people. You can find out if your job is willing to match your donations, or if there's any organization around you, any small businesses that would be willing to match any donations that are made. You can set goals for yourself. So, for instance, for me with London, I had a goal of fundraising $500 a month. And I'm like, if I can do $500 a month across, 6 months, between 5 and 6 months is how long I had to fundraise. I'm like, I think I can meet that goal. I think I can meet my goal for the race to have the money completely fundraised, have my goal met by race day. So another goal you can have is how many donors you have, who, get really creative with thinking about who you can reach out to help reach your goal. Some of the things that have worked for me in the past is, again, reaching out to people frequently, posting about it and sharing about it a lot on Instagram and Facebook, if you're on there, or whatever social media platform you have. Share a lot in your pictures. If you're posting pictures, tag the charity, use their hashtags, like really be out there with it. And it may seem annoying to be out there with it so much, but a lot of people don't see it the first time around. And I think there's even something, where did I see it? Where it's like people have to see it 3 times before they actually take action. So think of that, of how often the information needs to get out there for people to see it and realize, oh, wait, that you're doing something. Let me support. Let it be known that any donation, any size is helpful. Anything a person can donate is going to help you get closer to your goal. I have done running events, so you can do something virtual, you can do something in person, where community can come together, right? You can have an event virtually where people can come together. They can pay, $10, $15, $20, however it is. There's 2 options. You can make things donation based, where people donate whatever they want, or you can do a minimum donation where you can say, hey, it's minimum donation $10 and you can come. The virtual 5Ks or in-person 5Ks have been pretty successful for me. It's helped me connect to community as well. So that might be something that you can look into. I've had in the past people buy my miles or sponsor my miles. That's been really helpful. That's especially helpful when it comes to the long run. It's twofold. It's one, people can sponsor and support that. And also for me, it has elevated those miles of like, wait a minute, so-and-so made a donation to this run. I'm going to run strong. I'm going to run happy. Like, this person is supporting me. I'm going to show up as powerfully as possible to the run. You can dedicate the miles to people. That's something I've done in the past too, where it's same thing, kind of similar to sponsorship, or where it's like, okay, mile 1 is dedicated to this person. Mile 2 is dedicated to this person. Reach out to people in the community or businesses in the community. You can do a raffle through that. Partnering with different communities that you're a part of. So if you go to a yoga studio, or if you go to a gym, or you're part of a CrossFit box, or you have a physical therapist, think of the people that are already in your community that support your running to begin with, and then see if there's anything you can create with them, whether it be a fundraising class or a donation-based class, anything that can help bring greater awareness to what you are doing and how you're trying to fundraise will help. I've also I did this twice, where I put on a cupcake event. And for me, I reached out to, in Miami, different cupcake businesses, and everyone donated cupcakes. I found businesses that were willing to donate the space, tables, chairs, all for these events. And then the event was open to the community. People paid an entry fee to go to the event, have unlimited cupcakes and talk to the bakers and just learn more. And those were always really successful events for me. So get creative with events that you can put on in the community. Reach out to businesses. If you all have a Payway, we have that in Miami. Payway has this program where, however, I don't know how you set it up with them. I'm not 100% clear in my memory of that, but it'll be like a Wednesday between 5 and 10. If people go in and say that they're dining on behalf of you and your fundraiser, then they donate 10 to 20% of whatever those sales are. So if there's, again, like businesses in your area, organizations that you like and support, see if they can come out and support you. Okay. I think I've covered all that I can cover when it comes to charity. I'm sure I have missed stuff. And after I stop recording, I'm going to be like, oh, I didn't mention that. But I think I covered most of it. Again, the most important things are to do your research on the different charitable organizations that are affiliated with whatever race you want to do. Look into what their fundraising minimums are so that you know what your fundraising goal will be. Look into if you have to make a donation in order to be a part of the team, if you have to do an interview in order to be a part of the team. Be aware of when you need to meet your fundraising goal and whether the meeting of that goal is going to impact your ability to run on race day. That's the biggest one. Tap into your community for support, whether it be your fellow runners, whether it be the yoga studio that you go to, the gym that you go to. Tap into those communities. You never know who is going to support you, who can support you, who would be willing to support you, unless you show up and ask, hey, I'm fundraising for this organization. This is my fundraising goal. Can you either make a donation, or is there anything we can do together in order to help me reach my goal? Share, 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 big time. Let everyone know. Let everyone know that you are training for a race and that you are fundraising, and that their support is going to help elevate your miles, and it's going to help you reach not only the start line, but the finish line. With all that said, if anyone's interested in running the London Marathon, I ran on behalf of Rays of Sunshine, and it was the best fundraising experience I've ever had. There was so much community support. There was so much communication. The after party was incredible. It felt like, even though I was fundraising for them, they were doing everything in their power to celebrate me. And I think that's the dynamic that each runner should have with a charity. Yes, you're doing something incredible for you, for them, actually. Yes, you're doing something incredible for them, but then they are also celebrating you and everything you're doing for them. It's a relationship. It's got to mean something to you in order to put in the work, because newsflash, fundraising is hard work on top of the hard work that you're doing to train for your race. So hopefully this helped, gave you a little bit of insight into what it's like to run for charity. And if you have any other questions, or there's something that I didn't talk about that you need to pick my brain on, reach out to me on Instagram at The Cookie Runner. Send me an email, thecookie@gmail.com, or check out the website. I have past interviews talking about my London experience. You can look into that. And if there's any organizations that you're curious about, perhaps I have fundraised for them and I can give you some insight. So thanks for tuning in. Bye, everyone.